Do calories matter? Whoo, this is such a topic for debate. You have your calorie counting group, which is so focused on it's all about calories. And then you have your hormonal basis. It's all about glucose, sugar, insulin. And I have to admit that I'm very much on this side, but I'll tell you, why is my perspective starting to shift? Am I 100% all about calories? No. But have I shifted from here to closer to the middle? I have. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what's been happening to cause me to feel that way. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Dr. Jones, DC, a holistic obesity expert. I work with medical practitioners. We prescribe medications and peptides, but our goal of our programs are to always help our patients, when possible, wean off the meds, but with lifelong weight maintenance. This is the big deal because in order to have the best outcome, we need to understand what's actually happening, that we can formulate and strategize the best approach. And from observation, by working with patients, and look, this all started with myself 20 years ago. I lost 100 pounds and I unfortunately regained every single year. I lost and regained about 50 or so pounds. And it wasn't until I figured out what to do for myself, which consisted of a lot of rounds of deep fasting, which that would really suit the hormonal basis because the long format of fasting does optimize your hormones. And then working with patients in the clinical setting for the past year, I can say the same thing. I've done functional blood chemistry analysis, stool testing, and I've seen such improvements with patients' overall health by focusing on the hormones. But what's changing, guys? Well, I'm starting to review more literature that points to calories. Literally the highest levels of research, randomized control studies, meta-analyses, and meta-analysis is where they take the population of multiple randomized control studies, which is our highest level of research, and essentially combines them to get a analysis of all of them, which you can say meta-analysis is even going to be higher in terms of understanding and drawing conclusions too as well. And they've done these studies literally trying to compare, is it the calories or is it the lowering of blood sugar? And when they account for all other variables and they literally isolate these variables to compare them head to head, you don't find that lowering blood sugar levels, that accounting for insulin, that it's all about carbohydrates. You don't find, or fructose, for example. In fact, when isolating towards hormones and calories, they actually see that the argument sways more in favor of calories. And so that begs the question, why do we see such good results when it comes to fasting, when it comes to ketogenic diets? Because those, what they have in common is they are lowering your blood sugar, right? They are causing a lower blood sugar and a lower insulin. But I thought insulin is responsible for storing body fat. It is. I thought in the presence of insulin, we can't lose body fat. That's understandably true when we look at the mechanisms, but again, when we take a step back and look at research, we want to focus on outcomes. And the outcomes on human data show, when accounting for multiple variables, that it's more likely the calories that are causing the fat loss that we are looking for. Currently, right now, what I'm starting to shift and alter my perspectives is really respecting calories. Now, here's the deal. If it is all about calories, which we can't say that yet, but truly, if we get to a point where the research can conclusively say that it's all about calories and all fasting does is gives us a form of calorie restriction, fine. That's all fine and dandy. But then what about the impact on insulin, right? We have to remember that all we've done so far is say, lowering insulin levels are not necessary for fat loss. We've identified that. But what about insulin's effect on hunger? What about insulin's effect on your metabolism? If it is all about calories, and we do just say, let's just say it's all about calories, well, how do you get into a caloric deficit? How do you get into a caloric surplus, right? I can, at any given moment, consciously choose to stuff my face and get into a caloric deficit. I can also consciously try my best to starve myself, say, for example, a very long fast, and not eat and produce a massive caloric deficit. So I do have conscious control, but let's be honest with ourselves, guys. Let's be real here for a minute. How often are you spending all of your attention units at any given moment to focus on something radical like not eating all day or stuff in your face? It's not realistic. It's not sustainable. It's just not, it's not real. I like to tell people and communicate that at any given moment, we have 100 marbles. We call those attention units. We call those marbles. Just to get through our day to day, think about getting up, starting your day, going to work, coming home, preparing dinner. If you have a family, at any given moment, you're probably using what, 70, 80% of your attention units just to get through the day. How the heck are you going to take the little bit of marbles that you have left and allocate them? Yes, you can have conscious control, but it requires effort, right? Well, what part of your body is causing things to happen that don't require any conscious effort? That's your hormones. That's your autonomic nervous system. There are parts in your body that you don't have to think about, and hormones play a huge role. While my opinion is currently starting to shift, and I'm starting to respect calories significantly more, and I'm willing to get to a point and say that we might find out that fasting only provides caloric deficit. And no longer now will I say calories don't matter. I think it's so important in science that we allow ourselves to adapt and review new literature and admit that we were wrong and admit that there's more to understand. For me in my program, nothing's changed as far as where I stand. I still think that even if it is caloric deficits, I think fasting is one of the best ways to get into a caloric deficit, because I just think practically it's easier to have periods of time where you can eat more from a numbers perspective. But then I do think that the effects on insulin, maybe they don't directly affect fat loss like we thought, but I do think that it optimizes the different effects in the body, like hunger, like metabolic rate. And we need those things in our favor because we're not putting our conscious effort towards whether or not we're going to get into a caloric deficit, whether or not we're going to get into a caloric surplus. Those are important to understand. Hunger is something that we're battling with not all the time. We're battling with hunger. And if we are hungry and we can lower the times that we're hungry, we are going to eat less. Now, our metabolism, same thing. Our metabolism is responsible for the amount of calories we burn, and we can influence that by exercising, but only to a certain extent. About 60, 70 to 80% of the calories that you burn at rest come from your resting metabolic rate. And guess what? Hormones can influence that dramatically. Yes, your thyroid is the main hormone for metabolism, but what influences thyroid? Insulin and leptin. And what affects levels of insulin and leptin? And that's where I kind of find myself still focusing on my recommendations of what is the best lifestyle approaches, but with a respect and appreciation towards how much more calories matter than what I thought before. I hope you guys found that informative. Try to break it down in under 10 minutes. If you guys want to learn more about this approach, about how we work with our patients, we like to utilize things like semaglutide, tirzepatide. We use some powerful peptides too as well. You can click the link here on whatever social media format you're watching this video. Click that link. You can fill out the information there, schedule a free consultation, and we'll see you guys later.